Hello everyone, I am Dr.Ashvini Patil, Assistant Professor, Urkadleja Women's Degree College, Dharwad. So in this presentation, I'll be going to discuss the role of Dr. Ambedkar in the removal of untouchability. So this will be our part of discussion. In the previous video, we have discussed the background of the eradication of untouchability and coming to the role of Ambedkar. So Ambedkar, as we all know, that he is a great modern social thinker and a famous advocate of humanist. He was born in an untouchability or Dalit community called Mahar in Maharashtra, and he took a leading role in promoting the welfare of untouchable caste and elevating their social status. And being the most highly educated untouchable in India, he has something great role to play in the removal of untouchability. So he became the undisputed spokesman of the untouchables. He took many steps to reform the ways of untouchable. He himself was been in the bad phase of untouchable, and he faced so many discrimination in his life, and this untouchability, he fought against many injustices done by the untouchables by establishing a political party and a couple of organizations for the untouchables. And our first prime minister Pandit Nehru rightly described Ambedkar as the symbol of great revolt against all the features of Hindu society. And he followed certain steps to remove the untouchability in the society. So he was the first man to make a scientific study of untouchability. Even though Gandhiji made several attempts to the removal of untouchability before the birth of Dr. Ambedkar, but the credit of the systematic study of untouchability goes to Ambedkar. So he is the one who drew the attention of Congress organization and also of entire nation towards the problems of untouchability and their deplorable conditions. And he is the first to make a detailed study of the problem of untouchability, its origin, its developments, and the problems of untouchables and self-respect movement. So when it comes to Dr. Ambedkar, it made very clear that his main aim in the life was to remove the presence of untouchability in the society and to take the untouchability community towards the socio-economic equality and justice. And through his social movement, he wanted to instill in the minds of untouchable that the self-dignity, self-confidence, and self-respect. So these are the important aspect in his movement, that is social movement, and which is popularly called as the self-respect movement. And Ambedkar established an institution called Bahishkrita Hitkarni Sabha, which added momentum to this movement. And he also suggests 5 principles or Panchasutras for the progress of Dalits. As a part of removal of untouchability, he introduces 5 principles and he enlisted them as the self improvement, self progress, self dependence, self respect, and self confidence. These Pancha Sutras he recommended to the untouchables, that is, the self improvement, making one's own effort for one's improvement without expecting much from the others, and self progress, making self efforts for achieving progress in life. Self dependence, learning to lessen one's dependence on others and attaining finally the self reliance. Self respect, maintaining the self dignity and never sacrificing it for any reason. Self confidence, that is developing self confidence in oneself, in one's capacities, and in one's efforts. So these are the 5 sutras or 5 principles he has given to untouchables and maintain or upgrade themselves as responsible or the responsible citizens of India. And coming to very important, that is call to reform the style of life. So Ambedkar made an appeal to his community to change the style of life suit to the needs of time. He urged them to stop the dragging of dead cattle out of the village, and he also wanted them to give up eating, carry on alcoholic drinks, and begging. He wanted them to become literates and send their children to schools. And finally, he wanted them to dress well and have self-respect for themselves. And this is one of the chief aims was to bring about the revolution in the way of life of untouchables and their aspirations for themselves and their children as well as in the society. And coming back to the next, that is three principles of Dalit movement. So Ambedkar also suggested the three principles to govern the Dalit movement through three important aspects. They are education, agitation and organization. Education is essential for helping the Dalits to take out their mask of ignorance, whereas agitation becomes inevitable to fight against all the exploiters and cheats, whereas the organization is necessary to thrash out individual differences to realize community interest and to fight for a common cause collectively. And call to destroy the caste system. So Ambedkar also made certain efforts to raise the status of untouchables, considering the caste system one of the great obstacles. So he also expressed his disappointments pertaining to the Varna system. Varna system existed since our ancient history, ancient society, and he gave a call to destroy the caste system in his famous book Annihilation of Caste in the year 1936. In his book, and then he wrote in Harijan in 1933, the outcast is a byproduct of caste system. Nothing can emancipate the outcast except the destruction of caste system. As an expression of his disillusionment, Hinduism. And he also rejected Hinduism and embarked Buddhism with his followers in 1956. And coming back to very important aspect, that is the political role of Ambedkar. Ambedkar being an untouchable, he made the use of political instruments to achieve the purpose of protecting the Dalit interests. Demand for separate electoral for the Dalits in the first roundtable conference convened in the year November 1930. Dr. Ambedkar, who attended it on the behalf of the depressed classes, spoke about the loathsome condition of the untouchables in India. This is how he made a very important and remarkable political move in the history of India. Then he also prepared a declaration of the fundamental rights of the depressed class and submitted it to the minorities subcommittee. And Ambedkar also demanded the abolition of untouchability and establishment of equal citizenship. He demanded a separate electorate for the depressed classes, whereas the Gandhiji, again a powerful leader of then society, who boycotted the first conference and participated in the second roundtable conference at London along with the Ambedkar, and opposed the proposal for the separate electorate for the Dalits. And he said the political separation of untouchables and the Hindus would be a suicidal to the nation. But he also said that he would resist such a proposal with his life. And Gandhiji also declared his resolution of a fast unto death. The conflict between both Gandhiji and Ambedkar, however, settled by the famous Pune Act in the year 1932, and Ambedkar thus was able to get some reasonable representation for the untouchables. So again, Ambedkar, who met Gandhiji in the year 1931, insisted on making the removal of untouchability a precondition for a person to become a member of Congress. And he also supported the Anti-Untouchability League, which launched the campaign all over the country to secure for the depressed classes and enjoyment of the civil rights such as taking water from village wells, admission of children in the village school. So again, coming back to the very important aspect, that is Ambedkar as the Abhinav Manu. So we have so far seen the attempts made by Ambedkar to remove the uh, untouchability practice, and he is famously called as Abhinava Manu. He was invited by then Prime Minister Nehru to be the law minister in the first cabinet of independent India. So Ambedkar accepted the offer. He was made the chairman of drafting committee to the Indian Constitution and to draft the Indian Constitution in a very systematic way. And in the Constitution, the Article 17, it says about the movement of untouchability. Ambedkar had once declared that he would burn Manusmriti for its failure to provide justice to the Dalits. The same Ambedkar now could get the opportunity to the honor of giving the people to India their constitution. He is rightly called as Abhinava Manu, that is modern Manu, and he was awarded with the Bharat Ratna title posthumously. So the Ambedkar ideas, views and thoughts continue to influence and inspire a number of his followers who are spread over the entire nation. These are the some of the references. Thank you.